Hello.
Thanks for coming in today.
Hi,
I
thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
Step a little right foot on the red tape.
Thank you.
This is the studio.
Excellent.
We're live. We're talking with folks on Facebook, on our website, on YouTube Live, so it'll be everywhere.
That's great.
And you are here today to talk about proposals at the State House for the expansion of the paid family leave program. So why is this tops in your agenda this year?
Yes, so it is, and I appreciate you having me in on International Women's Day. It's an important topic, we know, both for women in Rhode Island and for the families and men and their children. So paid family leave, Rhode Island's really been a leader in the nation around enacting paid family leave. We enacted it in 2013. It's called the Temporary Caregiver Insurance, or TCI. And since that time, we know that a number of people, I think last year there were about 5,800 Rhode Islanders who were able to take time off to care for a new baby in the household or for a seriously ill family member, and they could have a job guarantee and then have 60% wage replacement during that time that they take off. So the current law allows people to take up to 4 weeks of leave, and so we have heard through studies, there's been a survey done through the URI researchers who looked at how successful the program has been, interviewed people who either took TCI or who weren't eligible for TCI but would have liked to be, and tried to figure out, how the program, what the pros and cons were. And what we found was that low-income folks are often not able to access it because it's not full wage replacement.
Okay.
And that in many cases, 4 weeks is not enough time to either take care of your family member or child. So this bill, Senator Golden is introducing it in the Senate, and Representative Maldonado in the House, would expand the number of weeks, so from 4 weeks up to 6 weeks in the next year, and then increase the wage replacement for people who are taking it.
And this is through the TDI program, correct?
That's right.
So what are the nuts and bolts of it? TCI is part of the TDI.
Right, it's an expansion of the TDI program.
And what do you have to say, because you hear it, I'm sure, folks of, businesses can't afford it. I mean, is that the common on the flip side? And what do you say to folks about that when they say, again, it's just something on businesses that they can't take on?
Right, so the beautiful thing about TCI and TDI is that it's not employer sponsored at all. So TCI and TDI are paid for completely by employees. So employees pay a percentage of their income up to a certain capped amount into the fund, and then when they need to take leave, they can then use those wages for the time that they're out. So we don't feel like, and there actually have been studies of the TCI program to show that workers do not think positively overwhelmingly about the program, and so it hasn't had a big impact on their ability to sustain their businesses.
Now, isn't this something that could affect workers at any age or stage in their life? So caring for a newborn child, but also caring for an elderly parent, for instance. So if you're a worker now, you might not think about it, but maybe several years down the line, you might be in a different position that you say, well, yes, I've got an elderly parent or a sick child to take care of. Is that sort of, it's that safety net?
Absolutely. It really is a social. We see real support for this legislation, both from the American Academy of Pediatrics, who's interested both in the bonding issues for young children, but also for if you had a child who comes down with diabetes, for instance. That's a manageable disease, but it takes some time to reorganize your life. So we hear that from doctors, especially, that that's important for them. And then the AARP is also very interested in this legislation because the majority of baby boomers at this age are taking care of elderly parents.
Yep.
And so they need some flexibility in their work-life balance to be able to take time off as well.
So this is obviously big on your agenda for the Economic Progress Institute, the paid family leave. What else are you looking to achieve this session?
So we are also working with a campaign around paid sick leave. While Rhode Island has been a leader in paid family leave, we are sort of behind the national movement in ensuring paid sick time off. So we're supportive of the legislation that's up there this year on that. We're also working on expanding the earned income tax credit, so low-income workers can keep more of their paycheck at the end of the year and put it back into the economy. And then we also focus on child care assistance program because we know working families really struggle with the cost of care, and that our child care providers in the state struggle with the reduced wages. So that's really an issue that we see impacts both sides of that coin, and so we're working on legislation to improve that scenario as well.
And one of the things right now in Rhode Island that we're dealing with is UHIP and trying to improve. What are you hearing from your vantage point at the Institute from folks in need? And are you involved with this in any way?
You know, we've been a part of a group of folks who's been meeting since even before UHIP rolled out to really make sure that the systems-wise there was someone doing watchdogging around what needed to be done, what important questions needed to be asked going forward. So, and the one thing that we have been focused on as well is even when the technology issues get worked out, that there are consumer assistance in the community or through the state, because we know through HealthSource RI, for instance, that people needed help navigating that online system, but we haven't seen the supports for this new online system that there had been for that.
So are you making a call for it? Would this be a budgetary item for the state to say we need X amount of kind of social type of workers to be those intermediaries and those middle persons? Would this come from the state? Would this come from other avenues? I mean, how many folks do you think would need to help to be able to assist folks in need?
Right. Well, I think the DHS has recognized that laying off workers at the beginning of the process probably wasn't the best way to go there. We are not asking for a specific number or specific investment around that, but we think there needs to be real thoughtful systems-based, both in educating the consumer groups who are already working with families, so CAP agencies or other groups that are seeing people on a regular basis coming in can help them navigate it as well.
Okay, so have additional folks and groups in the community be able to address these needs.
Right.
Okay.
But not just rely on that, also have a state support for being sure that there are people in the different DHS offices who can sit with people when they're having trouble with a computer, and not just rely on people to do it in their living rooms at home.
So we'll be, we're continuing to watch that closely here, but we'll continue to follow what happens with, again, the legislative proposals for the expansion and the paid family leave program. I appreciate your coming in to explain it a little bit to folks. And do you know the bill numbers off the?
They're not posted yet, so I don't have numbers. I'm sorry. That's always easier if you can track a number, but we don't have them yet.
Well, you had the release. You can go to the Economic Progress Institute website, and you've got lots of information. Fact sheets online for folks to know a little bit more about this, and again, that ask. And so I'm sure we'll have you in the near future to talk about more. Now, you do know when folks come in, they get asked a trivia question.
Oh dear, I didn't know that.
This is the game. It's Rhode Island trivia. How good's your Rhode Island trivia?
Oh, I don't know. I am pretty. I watch a lot of news, so hopefully it's recent.
So actually, I think I gotta find out the date for this. We've pulled cards up that people are like, that restaurant is not there. But it's just fun to see what folks' knowledge is of Rhode Island. So pick a card, any card.
All right.
It's amazing the number of times folks have picked the same card out of hundreds of cards.
Like a magic trick, huh? It always comes out the same way.
Awful to go, please. What color is the cup of an awful?
Isn't it white with red writing?
It's
not right.
Yeah, so they're saying the green and white stripe. Is it? But I think it might be white and red now.
Yeah, I thought it was the one on our.
We've got to double check that, Tony. You've got to check that for us. Is it white and red or is it white and green? Oh.
My two on the way home.
Tony Jones, our producer, will check in on that. But I think you're correct. This could be a little dated. We might need to update this card here. So I'll give you a hall pass on that one, Rachel, until we find out. Thank you coming in again. So much, Rachel Flum with the Economic Progress Institute talking to us about the expansion of paid family leave and what they're working on there. So keep an eye